Welcome to episode 105 of The Inside Bite. I'm your host, Tim Schaefer. I'm here with my co-host, Rudy. How you doing this week?
Hey Tim, good, hanging in there. Just a little slow on getting back into the games. I went on vacation. I've just been slacking on gaming a bit lately, but I've been playing a little here and there. So
The trip, how was it?
yeah, we had a great time. It's definitely so freaking hot over there.
See?
But
Yep.
on the first day, we didn't get the refillable cups because we didn't realize it.
Okay.
On day two, we got the refillable cup, and that was like a game changer. We just kept refilling it. We'd all take some of it, whatever. It was like easy, simple. We also got a stroller every day, which we didn't realize that we should have gotten as well on day one.
Okay.
That made things a lot easier. So between those two and having the fast passes, yeah, number one, I'll never ever go to any theme park again.
You
without
see
a
why
fast
I
pass.
was having the biggest, man, it's a lot of money, but it's hard to say not to get them. And I was like, I really
Right.
don't know what to tell people there because the lines is a gigantic
Oh my
difference
God.
between the two. You're
Dude.
talking hours compared to what, 20 minutes?
Right. On average, most of the rides, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, right? The big, really the big rides that everyone wanted to get on, like the Jurassic Park one, which was awesome, by the way,
Yeah.
that was probably 25, 30 minutes tops, something like that.
With your fast pass, because without
With the
it, you're
fast pass.
talking
With the fast
3
pass.
hours
Yeah.
maximum, 1 hour minimum.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it was so cool to just walk right up. I like how you walk up into the fast pass line. You walk, you turn.
You kind
you
of
walk
feel
some more,
like
you
a
turn.
dick because it's
Yeah,
like you're
yeah.
watching all these people just
Yeah.
sitting there for how long, and you're just walking right on through.
Yep. I made like
It's
five,
like, sorry,
6
guys.
turns. Just turn, and then you eventually get there. You're like, wow, that saved a lot of time. So it was awesome,
Yeah.
man. I had a really nice time. Harry Potter World was everything I loved it. It was
Okay,
so
you
cool.
see,
Everything
you
about
saw
it.
what I was saying. There's like two different sections, and I
Yes,
think
yes.
the alley is cooler than the other part. But what do you
Yeah,
think?
Uh,
Because other
man,
people
that's a
say
tough one.
different. But I think the alley.
I
Well, did you go at night with the dragon blowing the fire out of it?
yeah, I went at night.
Okay.
The alley was really cool, especially the way it's hidden like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of conflicted. I really
Okay.
love the first area too, though. So I don't know. I'm just glad I finally got to see and experience it. It was a great experience.
Just
I
seeing
really loved it.
the snow on top of the
Yeah,
houses
yeah.
and all. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's just solidified my opinion even more that I have no interest really in doing Disney. This is something I would do again.
Cool.
I really enjoyed Universal Studios. I went to Volcano Bay on the last day. That was cool. It was fine. I didn't really do everything there because our fast passes were not accessible there, I guess, because we got them through the hotel we were in, and that doesn't come with it.
Okay.
So at Volcano Bay, it's like virtual lines, right? It's like, oh, this ride's ready in 300 minutes. Okay, get in the virtual line. You can only be in one virtual line at a time.
Yeah.
And then I went about my business in the lazy river or whatever. So it was a fun day.
The one defender of Disney, and the older you get, the more you would love it, is Epcot, because you get to experience each country as if you're just there, and it's really authentic in the way of like the food when you're walking
awesome.
around the environment. Oh, I feel like I'm in Aladdin or some crap.
Yeah,
you know what
yeah.
I mean? But like the real version of India, or like go in Germany and just not just the food, but even when you're walking through like the streets or it's like block or two, everything around you is so engulfed in what that country is that you just feel like you're actually there. And it's an easy way to travel to about 5-6 different countries all within a few hours, and it's super neat.
Right.
So I will defend Disney on that part of like, you really need to see that level of it.
Oh,
But
yeah.
the rest,
I'm sure.
like I could give or take. And I think Universal's the way to go. But I got to defend Epcot. That's all.
No, of course. Listen,
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything bad about it. It's just I have more interest in doing something like this probably again in the future. So, yeah, it was awesome, man. I had a really nice time. Staying at that hotel was well worth it because it came with the fast passes and it was a nice
Let's
hotel.
review it like it's a video game. I just thought of this. That's hilarious to think about. But 1 to 10, where are we at?
So, listen, factoring in the fact that I had my 5-year-old son with me,
Okay.
my personal experience, probably give it like a 8.5.
Okay.
Had I not had my son with me, which it was fun hanging with him, but he made things very difficult and a lot of stress that was not needed
It's
was
like,
added.
oh, I'm hot. I'm thirsty. I'm
Yeah,
hungry.
I'm
gotta
tired.
use the
I don't want to go
bathroom.
on the ride. I do want to go on the ride, that whole thing.
Okay.
Then it'd probably be like 10 out of 10. Like nothing, no complaints, you know. So
Because a little
yeah,
older, like my kid's like about to hit 10. That's like
right.
perfect age.
That's perfect. Yep. My
Yes,
daughter's 9
yes,
and she had a great time.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Okay.
but yeah,
Anyway,
man, it was good.
awesome to hear. Real quick, I just have to mention Threads before we get into the news. I've been trying to use it a lot. Basically, it's Meta. I was going to say Facebook's, but Meta is like the big umbrella that Facebook is now under, Instagram is now under, and now we have this Threads, which is like the answer to Twitter, but Mark Zuckerberg's answer to Twitter. And it's taken off really, really nicely, way more than people were expecting. So it sparked up this. Just I wanted to talk a bit on before we even get into Threads and what it even is, how you and I think on social media like as a whole and how much we consume of it. Is it like how important it is to us, any of those levels? And I guess I'll go ahead and say like Facebook I've attached to a lot. It used to be MySpace, and I basically transitioned from MySpace to Facebook, and I don't really use much of the other outside of Instagram because I was gonna say I'm a photographer, and I guess anyone could be one, but I guess more of like I have a passion for taking photos and showing them off, and really doing a lot of edits and really trying to care about showing off my work on Instagram. That's the only reason I use it. Otherwise, I wouldn't. But the only reason I use Facebook, friends, family, plus I love the forum side of it because I come from, like we've said a million times, those IGN forums, GameSpot forums, completely random sites that are just like fan made, somebody individually making it, or even me making a forum that,
Mhm.
skateboarding forum, a PlayStation or Xbox forum, whatever, right? In the late 90s, early 2000s, and it eventually bled into, I feel, Facebook groups is kind of like the new forums, and that's why I really take to those.
Sure.
But outside of that, I'm not too much like I actually despise Twitter and I try really hard not to use it. But the problem is it's an incredible resource though,
Oh yeah.
because when it comes to just getting information on what an individual is doing when it comes to a new project, or whether it's an individual, a company, a team of developers, whatever the case is, it's a great news source, and it's a great way for people to connect and share and all of that. But it can get really negative really, really fast. And because of that, it makes me not want to use it, because anytime I try to use it, I'm instantly just like turned off, and I just like have been avoiding it for years. And I mean, it's been 10 years at this point, right? And
Yeah.
I can't take to Twitter. I can't do it. But I've always like the idea on some levels. So I'm jumping onto this Threads bandwagon, seeing if I can take to this. And I think it's a really good alternative, because I think where Threads can succeed, where Twitter may not. I know it's just news, so it may be more positive, but it's under the umbrella of Instagram, and it's still about people praising and showing off things that they enjoy. It's still in that same mind state, because it's
Right.
still all the people you would follow on Instagram are just automatically there, right? And
Hmm.
it's keeping the same spirit of just sharing and enjoying different things that people are talking about, instead of getting political, instead of getting like,
Sure.
here are differences and let's argue with each other. Instagram doesn't feed that way. Like, it just doesn't work for the platform. The platform works because people are sharing their work off, even if it's just an awesome plate of food they ate that dinner, right? Like,
Right.
to
Right.
a
Right.
cool drawing they did that day or something like that. That's the vibe of Instagram. So Threads, because of being a part of that, feels a lot more positive than Twitter ever could. And
Yeah,
so
that makes
because of
sense.
that, it makes me want to really dive into this Threads approach. And so I'm going to, and I, post a few times a day, and I'll see how this goes. And maybe it goes for months and years and everything's great. I'm
Right.
sure it's going to be a little cancerous, and all the Twitter stuff will start to flood in, but I still feel it won't be as bad. But
That makes sense.
it's a different vibe. So
Yeah, I think that the whole comparison with the Instagram versus Twitter is pretty apt. It's just so different, you know. it's Twitter has so much negativity. Not to say that there's no negativity on Instagram, but it's definitely way less
Yeah, it's just
rampant than it is
less.
on Twitter or something.
I know everyone does, but I really truly value my time of like when I'm on my phone scrolling, whatever the case, I don't want to be in negative environments. I try really hard to make sure that's not the case because the world's already messed up in so many levels. Why would I want that a part of when I'm trying to escape? I'm only
Hmm.
making it worse when I go into Twitter, I feel.
Yep.
But I want to be able to have a tool to be able to share and have communities and build a brand and all of that, especially with our podcast. Like, I really want to try to make this thing grow and make
Sure.
good connections, which is why I'm always like, man, I really just have to get over it and just use Twitter. But maybe this can be my answer and I don't have to use Twitter.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's social media is an interesting thing. I mean, I'm on a break myself right now from social media. I was just like, I need a break. I've been using it way too much, you know. I still use Twitter here and there just to browse stuff, but I haven't been using Facebook or Instagram posting things and commenting and things like that. So I don't know. I think you could, you know, a break is good every so often, but then it's so useful at the same time, you know?
do you use Twitter?
I do, but I don't really post much. I just kind of like follow people,
Okay.
you know?
But no, I hear you. I mean, I don't know what else to really say on this. I just wanted to bring that up on Thread seems promising. It's exciting. It's also just a new platform, so it's exciting on that front as well. And I hope it can stay more positive than Twitter
Right.
is, and we'll see. I mean, I'm sure just the cancer of social media will seep in. I'm not thinking it's not going to get worse. I just hope it doesn't get as worse, I guess is what I'm hoping from it.
Right.
So, we'll see. Let's get into a discussion. We're
Right.
hitting half of the year. If not, we're a little over half of the year. And I feel it's a good time to have a game of the half year 2023.
Right.
And I was purposely asking you, don't put it in the document. I want to
Right.
hear it on the fly. We go 1-1-1-1, and we say our top 3 games that has came out so far this year. You can do it in order, you can do it not. I really don't care. But at least give me 3
Okay.
extra bonus points, I guess, if we can put it in order. I gotta really think. I mean, my number 1's gonna be Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. That's obviously automatic because I've explained multiple times that that's maybe my favorite game ever to come out. So, spoiler alert, that's my number 1. But I don't know. What's one of yours?
Well, one of mine is 100% Tears of the Kingdom, of course. Whatever. I'll just start off with that since you already mentioned it.
Well, my concern is like I know you've been doing X, Y, and Z, and especially Phantasy 16 and trying to finish that, and you didn't play too much of it and all that. So being where are you at? Like 15 hours or so? Being
In Zelda
not too
or
far into Zelda, still, what do you think? Even so,
somewhere around there, honestly.
yeah.
I've been really slacking
Because
lately.
I'm sitting like 50 hours, 60 hours,
Gotcha.
something like that. You know what I mean? And I'm curious, like, okay, maybe a dozen hours in, like, you can still at least get what's going on. But the problem is you haven't seen, and I couldn't even begin to want to spoil it for you. Some of these, like, oh my God, this is more Zelda than anything I could have ever imagined, where Breath of the Wild seems so distant from the series. So, but I know for sure you haven't seen any of those things because you would have
No,
messaged
no.
me immediately.
Yeah, no, I haven't. I haven't yet.
Yeah,
I'm gonna eventually make my way through it. It's just I'm moving so slow right now.
no, that's good. You can feel you can safely still put it in your 3.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay,
It's
okay,
definitely so good that I can definitely put it there.
okay. I guess go ahead and hit me with another.
Okay, another one. I'm going to go ahead and pick. I beat A Plague Tale Requiem in January, but that came out at the end of last year, didn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
A game that came out this year.
Yes, Resident Evil 4 Remake is my next pick.
Okay. And I have yet to even start that. I mean, I
Ooh,
technically
that's a good-
started it just to see how my new rig looked and all of that. But I really
Right.
want to finish some other stuff before I actually start because I don't want to pull myself too far away from what I'm doing. I can at least confirm that it looks great. But yeah, I'm super excited for that. So I would be putting that in there maybe, depending, but I just haven't really started it. So that's just not going to be in mine. But that's good to hear that it's obviously great. But I mean, many people were saying so. So good to get confirmation there. And I'll go ahead and say a number 2 for me then, Dead Space Remake. I mean, maybe one
All
of the
right.
best remakes to exist. It was phenomenal.
It was amazing. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So say that, and then I'll go ahead and throw my third just to move this along. And let's say I played a lot of, but did not finish, but keep thinking about it and really being aggravated. I'm not going back into it because I'm trying to do other stuff like I keep saying. But that Fire Emblem was a huge shocker for me because I was expecting it to be just some very mundane, fan servicey BS. Doesn't feel like a real Fire Emblem, and ends up being
Right.
one of the best in the series. And
Yeah, I remember you going through that
yeah,
turnaround. I was like, wow,
I
okay.
was like, holy crap, this game's incredible. So there's my third there.
Okay. You know, if I'm going, yeah, I have to. I like Final Fantasy 16, but I don't know if I could put it in the top 3 yet. So I'm gonna have to also go with the Dead Space remake. It was so good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those are our 3 of each.
Yep.
Second half of the year, what's our 3 most anticipated?
Okay.
So I mean, I'm trying to think. Like I mean, Starfield's one of my 3 for sure.
Sure.
Is that one of your 3?
It is. Yep.
Okay. What's another one? Pikmin 4, it's about to come out the end of this month, but
That's
holy
true.
crap,
That's
was
true.
that demo incredible.
Another one for me is Armored Core for sure.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that. Holy crap. And that's soon.
Mhm.
That's August, right?
Next month. Yeah.
Oof. Yeah, okay. So I mean Spider-Man 2, but for some reason it's like I feel like I've been there, done that. And I'm not like excited.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I'm excited about that. Well, I'll talk on it after you go here.
is that in your 3? I mean,
Man, I'm like, let me see. I'm looking at the list of games I have that's coming out.
I'm kind of interested in Baldur's Gate 3. I mean, I am. The problem is like I tried so many times with Divinity Original Sin 2.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yes, this looks awesome, but I feel like I'm going to fall into the same rut, and I have that fear there.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean,
I would think Super Mario Bros. Wonder is going to be my last one.
oh my god, you just reminded me. Not that, yes.
Oh, Super Mario RPG. Duh.
That's what
Oh,
I'm trying
man.
to say. Like, that's what you reminded me of. Is that's in my 3. So I'm gonna say Starfield, Super Mario RPG, and let's go with the third being Pikmin 4. I'll say that. So those are my 3. Anyway,
Okay.
all right. Well, it's cool to see where we're at, where we're heading, where we're thinking of things, and what we're hyped most on.
Sure.
Let's get into some actual news here.
Okay.
Funny enough, I was doing these notes before we even got the conclusion, but the FTC did lose in court to Microsoft. Microsoft got that victory. It's not completely over. They didn't like seal the deal, but the judge went in favor of Microsoft of being like, FTC is definitely like making claims that they don't have enough merits to make in terms of why these deals shouldn't go through. But before we even got the conclusion of that, I was making a list. I technically pulled it from a few sources and kind of made like a top 10 here of just different things that we've learned from this court case I thought were really interesting. But it's also just interesting that, hey, I mean, I kind of always thought it was going to go through, but it does seem like it's going to go through. Now the only thing left is, I guess, like, some European stuff when it comes to accepting them or not. But in the long run, even if they don't take to it, maybe Microsoft can just do it in some territories, not all, or something. I don't know. There's some, I think it's going to happen. But even if it we don't know for sure yet, it's looking incredibly likely because they just definitely at least beat all of FTC's worst. But here is top 10 of what we have learned from this. Okay. Number 1, Microsoft lost the console wars. Microsoft claimed its original Xbox was crushed by Nintendo and Sony when it entered the market in 2001 and has been losing ever since. Microsoft references numbers from 2021 where they only held 16% off the console gaming market. So they are just supplying all of this evidence, being like, look, we've been losing this entire time. They had a slight lead in the 360 when it was popping off, but by the end, PlayStation 3 still took it in the end. So they're not wrong. It's weird that they're trying to sell themselves as losers, but I mean, they're not wrong. I think they're obviously the only reason they're saying all of this is because other people are trying to claim, oh, they have all of this power in this industry. They can do whatever the hell they want. Why should we allow them even more power? And they're coming back with, we actually been losing this entire time. What are you talking about? So I actually get where Microsoft's coming from. A lot of people find that very fanboyish to have this opinion because Microsoft is one of the biggest companies ever and all of this, right? But we've learned through so many times, like Stadia recently, Google, who's bigger than Google? Come on. They just, money isn't everything. It's just not.
Right, of course not.
They can buy whoever they want to try to buy, and they've bought many people in the past, and that seems to be their way of getting things done. But eventually, they're still going to keep failing unless they actually just, I don't know, work on what they have instead of keep trying to obtain more. That's my opinion on it all. But I still want this to go through only because I hate Activision's practices a lot.
Yeah,
we learned so many bad things from Activision's home base that went entirely wrong under Kodak. And I will say, like, in no way is Microsoft even close to as bad of a workplace as that. So why wouldn't I be in favor of this? Is kind of where I see it.
Yeah. Number 2, Microsoft's next-gen console could start in 2028, year longer than the last gen. That's interesting, 1 year longer, huh?
What do you think on just how long this gen you feel may be? I mean, they're basically saying they're not going to make a new console till this year, if not.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty normal. It's pretty standard stuff. There's nothing really too crazy there. You can take this third or fourth or whatever if you want to keep going.
Okay. Number 3, Microsoft wanted Bungie, Sega, Square Enix, Zynga, over 100 developers considered at one point to get down to a list of 8.
We're saying, hey, here's the 8 right here. Bungie, Sega, Square Enix, Zynga, and a few others. But they originally had a list of like 100 developers. So, again, they are very, 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 very much in the business of trying to find people to buy. It's just a matter of actually finding the right deal and all that. So it's just giving proof that Microsoft is very much about buying up studios. But once you buy them and you don't pay attention to them, like with what happened with Redfall, you're not going to get anything good. You got to buy them and you got to actually like stick with them and you got to actually care about what they're doing and check in daily. Not literally daily, but you know what I mean. So
right.
Which is weird to say because, again, like some people may feel I'm being contradictory here of being like, well, why am I for this buying of Activision? Yet I'm slandering the fact that I'm buying stuff. Again, Activision was just really rough practices of workplace. And I feel all those studios that are making Crash, Tony Hawk, whatever the case is, World of Warcraft, Diablo, etc., I think these games would be not in better shape, but the employees that work for it be happier, thus making a better product in the end. If they're under Xbox's umbrella, because they have so much more people and eyes on them that they can't get away with the crap that Activision was getting away with, even if they wanted to. But yeah, I think you understand what I'm trying to say, at least.
Yeah.
All right. Last of Us Part 2. Again, we went over this. 120 million it cost to make, and it took half a decade to make. So we just got a good numbers game, time frame that when it comes to PlayStation first party, how they're handling things. And this was at the end of PS4, so it's even bigger now. I guarantee you the next PS5 exclusive Sony first party game is going to be far more expensive than even this, unless they figure out a way to cut costs, whether that's AI, whether that is what paying overseas development, whatever they may try to come up with, but they're gonna have to figure something out because it's a point to where it's making so much to make a game, you have to sell so many damn copies of something just to break even, and that's not good business. So
no, not at all.
So Sony's in a little bit of some turmoil here when it comes to this.
Yep.
Right. Nintendo, well, the exact opposite of that, by the way. Yeah. Nintendo, I really don't think is spending too much on their games because they're caring more about the fun and creativity than they are on the production values.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, and then COD generated $800 million in 2021 for PlayStation. Jesus.
Just to explain how important COD is.
Right.
They did nothing. I mean, yes, okay, they may have like helped them advertise and stuff, but it's just free money just flooding in 800 million in a single year for them. That's far more than even Last of Us Part 2, speaking of which, ever made for them.
Right.
So it's like they do nothing and they bring all this money in COD. So of course they're freaking out thinking that like Xbox is going to take it. But again, why would Xbox take them? They wouldn't. And Jim Ryan knows this because read number 7 first.
All right, number 7. Jim Ryan didn't think Call of Duty was going to leave PlayStation. Personal email. I'm pretty sure we will continue to see Call of Duty on PlayStation for many years to come. Interesting.
So he's doing this front facing of saying he's worried about Call of Duty leaving, but he knows damn well Xbox couldn't afford to not put it on PlayStation.
So much money, yeah.
So, and he knows this, and we got confirmation of that while they're going through all these emails. So then why is Jim Ryan front-facing saying that all of these issues are why? What's his motive here is what I want to know.
Yeah, is it just to try to make people feel like public perception to be more in his court, or?
Pretty weird stuff. I guess that's just, I guess that's what it takes to be in that sort of power. You're just a weird individual. I don't know. Anyway, number 6, the one we skipped here, Activision was going to pull COD from Xbox unless Microsoft paid more to keep it in their platform since it didn't sell as well there. So Call of Duty was selling way less on Xbox than it was on PlayStation. So Activision was like, well, if we want to keep making the platform for your system, you're going to have to give us a little more money. It's literally deals that were happening on the table, and Microsoft was paying more just to make sure COD was coming to their platform. I thought that was very, very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Further proving if Microsoft is having to pay more just to make sure that Activision makes COD, can you imagine the struggles they're having with other developers and teams to make games for the platform? So a lot of people are making games and being like, well, I know my game's going to sell here and here, but I don't think it's going to sell on Xbox. This is way before Game Pass and all of this sort of talk. This is just COD is just not selling, period, on this platform, so why would we continue to make for it? And I'm sure a lot of developers are having the same mindset, and now because of that, so many less games are coming to Xbox. It's kind of that deal with like Nintendo. Well, we don't want to put all this extra effort to make this weird version of this game where we can just make a normal ass version for the game and just not put it on this platform and it would be totally fine. So it's like Xbox is in this weird of like not many people are buying here. And Nintendo's in this weird of like, well, we're like / handheld / console, and we're pretty underpowered and all of this. So it's like, so it looks to be PlayStation and PC are just like, well, this would just be easier to make for with less issues. So might as well just do that and kind of ignore the others. And this is just sort of, all of this is bubbling up to the top of all of our consciousness of like, now we're starting to see why Xbox doesn't get this or that.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting.
There's a lot going on behind the scenes, man.
Yes. If Xbox didn't buy Bethesda, they could have never got Starfield, just like their prior PlayStation exclusives like Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo. Bethesda was straight up saying it wasn't coming to Xbox. They bought Bethesda, and that's what made Starfield even becoming a thing with Xbox. Now, funny enough, it's going to be exclusive there, but Deathloop, Ghostwire Tokyo, those go on PlayStation. Well, Starfield was as well, But the only reason Deathloop and Ghostwire even came to Xbox later is just because they got Bethesda, but they still had to adhere to some sort of, at least some sort of time thing, so they can have a little bit of some deal there. But if they never bought Bethesda, we probably would have never gotten Deathloop or Ghostwire Tokyo on Xbox either.
That's true. That's true.
Bethesda just straight up said it wasn't going to Xbox, but Xbox bought Bethesda, which thus made that happen. So again, like they're COD, Starfield, Deathloop, and these are big. Much less forget all of the smaller games and smaller publishers not wanting to go to Xbox. So I'm starting to feel like Xbox is really struggling to call all these people and really try to convince them to release games for their platform and all of this. And even though they're under Microsoft, which is a gigantic company, a lot of people just still aren't wanting to release their platform for, well, not for whatever reason. We know the reasons, I guess. But yeah, Elder Scrolls 6 is not expected for another 5 years. That's insane. I feel sorry for fans of that series. I mean, I like them, but I don't know. And then Bobby Kodak talked to all the... So here's a quote that he said. Talk to all the publishers, and they are unanimously do not like Game Pass because it is value destructive. So...
Interesting.
This quote is getting passed around a ton. People being like, see, told you. Game Pass is bad for the business. I think it just depends what you're trying to do. If you're a small publisher and you're trying to get a game out there that no one's going to buy or play anyway, and Microsoft's going to give you a big bag of money to put it on their service, why wouldn't you do it? A bunch of people start talking about the game. Next thing you know, you start selling a whole bunch. It's happened time and time and time again with multiple games. It's proven that it works, but of course it's not going to work when it comes to a game that everyone was going to buy anyway. No duh, that's not the point of Game Pass. So I just think it just depends on what your expectations are and what you're trying to get out of it, whether it works in your benefit or not.
It's all depending on your perspective of it and what's going on. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but like a smaller publisher or a smaller developer could definitely gain by going to Game Pass. I don't believe that they can't gain by going to Game Pass. If they couldn't, why would they do it? It just nobody's forcing them to take the deal.
I agree.
So
I totally agree.
But yes, we're not going to get I don't know. Let's say Square Enix is playing good with Xbox. They're not going to dump the newest Final Fantasy on Game Pass. Why would they? It doesn't make any business sense. So I understand it needs to make business sense, but that's all I'm saying is depends on what you're trying to do. Depends on if you should do Game Pass or not. That's all. To just flat out say it doesn't work, period, is stupid, I feel. So that's all.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a big blanket statement, you know. So
like the people who made Guacamelee and then they released that game, what was
it? Oh my god.
They loved that they were going Game Pass. They said they wouldn't have gotten near as much traffic to the game if that wasn't the case. And they sold millions of copies because of Game Pass. Like so there's clear examples of that. Almost like Switch, of like, you know, Switch has been really good on the indie scene, and like they dump a game on Switch, maybe made it a little harder to develop on that compared to other things, but they sell so much more on Switch because Switch is such an indie darling. Why wouldn't you? So it's like similar vibes of like really helps smaller creators. And I think that's the goal of it. I think it's Xbox first party and amazing games that people are making, but are in fear that maybe their game won't sell because it gets flooded by so many other things in the market. Well, if you can put it into like a Apple Arcade, a Nintendo Switch Indie Direct thing, Game Pass, these are what highlights these games to then move forward. I think that makes total sense.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree.
That's all the things I want to take away from the court case that happened and is now over in Microsoft's favor. So, yeah, there's that.
All right, cool. Well, next up, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course, Wave 5 tracks, characters out July 12th. That's awesome. That's that's literally
that's tomorrow. By the time this episode goes live, it will be live.
All right, so here are the tracks coming to the game. Wave 5, Athens Dash from Mario Kart Tour, Daisy Cruiser from Mario Kart Double Dash, Moonview Highway from Mario Kart Wii, Squeaky Clean Sprint, brand new Mario Kart 8 Deluxe track, Los Angeles Laps, Mario Kart Tour, Sunset Wilds Mario Kart Super Circuit, Koopa Cave for Mario Kart Wii, Vancouver Velocity for Mario Kart Tour. Wave 5 of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass also brings 4 new racers, Kamek, Medium, Birdo, Medium, PD Piranha, Heavy, and Wiggler, Heavy. That's awesome. So much value in this game.
I don't. We say it every time, and we're just gonna be a broken record. But holy crap, this is the most insane kart racer content packed game you could ever dream of. This is insane.
It's totally ridiculous.
And there's still more to come. How many waves? I mean, 8 waves. I want to say, right?
Is it? It was 8, right? Or was it? Was it 6? I think it might be 6.
I don't know.
That's wild, man.
Moving on. Sonic the Hedgehog co-creator Yuji Naka gets suspended prison sentence for inside trading. News of this sentencing comes from IGN via IGN Japan, which reports that the 57-year-old was found guilty of violating Japan's Financial Instruments and Exchange Act for insider trading after a July 7th court appearance at the Tokyo District Court. The judge in the case gave Naka a 2.5-year prison sentence, but suspended for 4 years, and 2 fines of 2 million yen and 170 million yen, approximately $14,000 and 1.1 million, respectively. This sentencing comes roughly a month after Abimi Times reported in June that prosecutors on the case were asking that Naka go to prison for 2 years and 6 months and fines totaling roughly 1.2 million. However, Naka's defense asked that this fine and prison sentence be reduced. The final verdict on July 7th in Japan was down to that 1.1 million. Naka has also directed Balan Wonderworld, was arrested in November in connection to an insider trading investigation centered around a new Dragon Quest game. Naka was accused of purchasing 10,000 shares worth of 2.8 million yen, roughly $20,000, and aiming the company behind that new mobile Dragon Quest game. Less than a month later, Naka was arrested once more on a second charge of insider trading, this time involving the now defunct mobile battle royale Final Fantasy VII: The First Soldier. Naka was accused of purchasing 120,000 shares, the developer behind the game, for approximately 144 million yen, more than $1 million in US. Naka has now been formally charged and sentenced for insider trading. So the sentencing went, he's going to spend 2 years in prison. And for doing naughty things. The creator of Sonic. He's been given cancer to the world since he existed, I guess, right? No. I'm actually like Sonic, but at least, some other games, let's say.
Sonic used to be something I would look forward to back in the day, and then somewhere over the years, I don't know.
I mean, he clearly lost his mind because we're now seeing the full spectrum of his mind being lost. So there's that. Yeah. NetherRealm reveal Smoke and Rain is going to come to Mortal Kombat 1 fighter roster. So there's that. You can take this next one if you dare.
Yes, Baldur's. Oh boy! All right, Baldur's Gate 3 lets you have sex with a druid in bear form. Interesting. I mean, I saw this video and I was like, "What the heck is even going on?"
And the person is a vampire on top of that, so it's a bear having sex with a vampire.
So funny.
You can do such things in Baldur's Gate 3 if you so choose. So they're definitely really letting you role play there. Look forward to many naughty scenes with bears and vampires, I guess. And plethora, maybe a squirrel. I don't know. I mean, what if there's a bear, why can't we have something small that we could also do such? All right, I can't keep. This is so dumb. All right, moving on. Exoprimal is about to come out. Comes out July 14th, here in a few days. It's a day one Game Pass. Speaking of which, that's what I'm saying. Like, here's a multiplayer game. Everyone's kind of over these like multiplayer shooter things, and nobody would really be buying in right now. It's sort of like the worst time ever to release a game like this, just because of we had an oversaturation and now everyone's just done. And I feel it's going to take a year or two for people to kind of want these things back or whatever. But Capcom's trying anyway. And the game actually, I think, looks really, really cool, to be honest. It's just, do I want a multiplayer, yet another one of these multiplayer live shooter things? I just don't, you know what I mean? But makes sense because of these business decisions. Hey, well, let's put it on Game Pass. So many, 30 million people have Game Pass, something like that. well, at least these 30 million people will play these games, and maybe they'll end up liking it. And maybe it will stick because of that, because we don't know how else this is going to stick, because everyone seems to be done with this stuff, right? So, hello, Exo Fighters. We've seen the Exoprimal community decisions happening regarding the ability to create parties between players on different platforms, and we'd like to clarify the game's feature set around this launch. On day one, Exoprimal will support cross-platform cross-platform matchmaking, but party creation will be specific to each platform ecosystem, as seen below in no particular order. So Group 1 will be Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and Windows. Group 2 is going to be PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. Group 3, Steam. We are investigating ways to allow you to play together with your friends on other platforms, but this may take some time. On top of that, we soon to sharing the full title update roadmap with you. As always, we greatly appreciate your thoughts and feedback. Thank you for taking the time to share them with us. See you in the War Games. So it's just like, oh, we're throwing on Game Pass, but nobody's going to be able to play with each other, basically.
Man, brilliant.
And here I was thinking Capcom was killing it lately. Street Fighter 6, I mean, all platforms across the board, right?
Yeah.
What's happening here?
Why not be consistent, you know?
I mean, I guess it's just harder than we imagine, but then just don't do it, because you kind of have to make a game succeed nowadays, right? I feel so.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is like, oh, it's on Game Pass, but decision like this, you're just sort of releasing a game to die. This is like, we want to be able to play with each other. We're at that point now.
All right. Well, speaking of their good stuff, though, Street Fighter 6 sales hit 2 million. Sales announcement comes alongside a first look at Rashid, a new DLC character for Street Fighter 6, due out July 24th via the $29.99 Year 1 Character Pass. This includes the aforementioned Rashid, Aki, AKI, I don't know, Ed, and Akuma. So that's awesome.
Are you buying that?
Well. I might, depending. I'm possibly get it.
Did you see this trailer breakdown of this?
Yeah, I did. That was it was really cool.
He is awesome. He's like,
he looks cool, yeah.
I don't know, Indian with his like sandstorm sort of moves. I thought he looked incredibly fun to play as, actually. I loved his special there at the end. That was insane. Just a gigantic sandstorm. I just never thought we would see something that insane in Street Fighter, because they usually don't go that crazy unless it's like Marvel vs. Capcom or something. But these moves with this guy are looking sort of Marvel vs. Capcom-ish, you know?
It does a little bit. Yeah. And I know he appeared in some of the other games. I don't know which ones. I can't remember.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so.
Maybe 5, because I don't...
It could have been 5, yeah. I don't remember.
Well, that's it for the news. We can get into what we're watching, what we're playing.
All right. I'm still playing Street Fighter 6 here and there. I'll jump on with some friends, play, just mess around, you know, same old stuff. Final Fantasy 16, I was away for the whole week. And then since I've been back, I played today for a while. Okay. You know, speaking very in vague terms, I finished the Phoenix Gate area where he kind of had like a vision and everything. Mm-hmm. And I just got past that. I was like, oh,
dude, that battle was awesome. I'll say that.
Yeah, that was a cool battle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I just got past there. I'm still enjoying it, you know, still trucking along. So I'm going to see what I think as I go on. There's some people who are farther than me saying some pretty awesome things later on. So we'll see, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I am further and it does get better as it goes. And it's like my original thoughts have stayed true this entire time, right? But they're just more exaggerated now. It's like the stuff that I really like, I like even more. And the stuff I don't like even more. So it's like, I'm really getting tired of how linear this game is. And I just am having to accept it at this point. But oh my God, is the combat getting a lot better. The battles are getting a lot cooler. The epicness of it is incredible. The graphics are great. They released an update recently. It makes me like actually enjoy playing it at 30 now. And so I'm just going to keep it there. Because the frame rate's still broken. But now you won't get sick playing at 30 because they added like a motion blur thing. And I just turned it completely off. There's like 5 levels to it. Once I turned it all the way off and played at 30, I was like, okay, this at least feels better than playing like 35, 45, jumping all over the place, right? But whenever I was playing 30 in the past, I couldn't do that either because anytime I turned the camera, I just wanted to throw up for motion sickness. So. Now, at least that spinny feeling in my head isn't there while I'm trying to play. So, yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah, I turned mine all the way down because I couldn't stand that.
Yep.
It's like annoying.
Real quick, I've been playing Klonoa Phantasy Reverie series because it was half off on Steam, so I went ahead. No, it was Steam and Switch. I bought it on Switch. Been playing that. It's basically just Klonoa 1 and 2, but it's sort of like cleanup versions of them. Like the first one is technically pulled from the Wii version of a remake of the PS1 version, but you can switch back and forth between the old style, new style, and the music as well. If you play it in the beginning, these Klonoa games, they're going to seem incredibly basic and simple and dumb and all of that. But it's just trying to teach you the mechanics and maybe a little too hand-holdy at first. But once you get into about second, especially the third world, it really ramps up. And I find these to just be some of my favorite platformers. Just the charm, it's like, it feels just very Nintendo vibes of just like really good polish and fun. It's like playing Kirby, you know. It's nothing too hard, but the puzzles definitely get pretty challenging the further you go in. The mechanics just awesome. If you've never played Klonoa, basically you can grab enemies, right, and like pull them towards you, and you use these enemies to platform. So like if you want to jump to a higher platform, well, you can't really jump that high, but if you grab a monster and then throw them downwards, now you get an extra jump out of that, right? So the whole gimmick of playing this game is finding all of these ways of traversing through these levels when it comes to either figuring out how to kill a big enemy or using enemies to your advantage to traverse through the environments. And really fun, clever, really cool puzzle-like platformer vibes, and the music is great. I think the presentation's awesome. It's really, really charming. I love the series, and I'm really happy to be playing them again because these are, the first one was on PS1, the second one was on PS2. They're both phenomenal games, and everyone should really play them. You know, I was able to get it for like $17 for both games, so I just had to jump on it. I'm starting up Paper Mario because Super Mario RPG really motivated me. I never actually beat the N64 Paper Mario, and it's almost like
I
a
love that
spiritual
game.
successor to Super Mario RPG in many, many ways. It's like Super Mario RPG, Paper Mario, then Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. Now, I still think the original is the best when it comes to that Super Nintendo game because Square Enix was a part of that where the others they weren't. But Nintendo definitely still did their best and was still nailing it, at least up into the GameCube level, you know. And then they screwed it up after that. But
Yeah, started making some changes.
I
remember
yeah,
the
I'm
the most
replaying that on my Switch because I have the expansion pass on N64 thing, and man, is this game good. I love it. I'm all about it.
dude. On a side note, real quick, I remember when the most recent one came out.
Ugh, I don't know. The Color Splash, I want to say.
No, it was after that. Wasn't there another one?
Let's see.
The origami one or something?
Yep, Origami King. You're right. That honestly looks a little more interesting than at least Color Splash did, but I'm still just like, what the hell is this battle system?
It's just nothing mattered. Like this, you pick like all the items didn't
Yes.
matter. The boss fights were not boss fights. They were like mazes where you'd have to navigate through. I was like, what the heck are we doing, man?
I just
So,
want a good
yeah.
RPG. Is that? I
know,
guess that's hard
I
to
know.
ask nowadays.
Too much to ask for.
Looking at you, Final Fantasy. No. And then lastly, I just got it on sale. Sonic Frontiers. I finally did it. It's half off right now.
Nice.
No. So I was just like, dude, really, I got it for my kid. But he's been asking for it for months, and I was like, well, it's on sale. I'll get it. I played
Gotcha.
so much of it in the last 2 days, though. I don't know. It's so weird. The game's pretty bad, okay? Like what it's trying to do, and like its ideas are so dumb. It's like everything's just everywhere, makes no sense. They're clearly ripping from so many different games. It's like, okay, hold on. I was laughing way too hard that I had to make note of this because I was goofing on the game so hard. Here's what the latest Sonic game should be called. Here, where to put it here? No Man's Stranding, Punk of the Wild, 2077, and Knuckles. They pull so many things from so many different games, but they don't do it nearly as good, right? So it just feels like a jumbled mess. But the problem is this game is so fun. It's so fun to just grind and do these, like, there's these like missions of like, okay, try to get your score as high as possible within like 45 seconds, right? And they'll just shoot all these orbs all over the map that like up your multiplier. But you have to actually earn points, you have to do tricks or bounce on things or grind or whatever. And so I'm sitting there running it back, I want to say 20, 30 times to this awesome song that plays of me doing all these crazy cool tricks, going super speed, and just having a blast trying to get this like top score and get like an S ranking in it. And I'm sitting there thinking like, man, this is a ton of fun. And but so it's like a weird I guess it reminds me of Pokemon. It's like there's broken in so many ways, but it's still just a fun ass game. And it just, I guess it kind of takes me back to just some of these like A games on PS1, PS2 sort of thing, where it's like, yeah, there's a lot of problems, but it's still an enjoyable game to play. And maybe by the end, like I'll think even far more highly of it. It's just hard to like, I don't know. Video game design is so well, let's say like in Tears of the Kingdom, of everything is so well executed and thought out. And then Sonic's just like someone diarrheaed all over the screen, but made it fun to play in somehow. I don't know. It's bonkers. Let's get into New Game Watch and we'll be out of here. 3 games, I guess. But Gravity Circuit, PS5, PS4, Switch, PC, July 13th. Exoprimal, July 14th, like we said. All platforms, by the way, instead of Switch. I mean, I'm gonna give this a shot. I guess I'll give my thoughts next week. It's really just because if it wasn't Capcom, I wouldn't try it. It's as simple as that. I have to try it for Capcom's been too good lately, anyway. And then Viewfinder on PlayStation 5 and PC. This was on Switch originally, I want to say. And it's coming to PlayStation PC July 18th. Okay. A little weird, cool indie game with a lot of original ideas. I don't know. You have to look into it. It's really hard to explain. But it has to do with like taking photos for like objectives or something.
Sounds interesting. Yeah.
But yeah, that'll do it. Let's, glad you were finally able to see Harry Potter sort of world.
Yeah, man, I was very happy about that, man. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Did you get a butterbeer? That's what I want to know.
Oh yeah, butterbeer was so good.
Hell yeah.
I was thinking I was gonna try it, and it was gonna be like a mediocre drink, and I was gonna be like, okay, that's cool though, because it's Harry Potter.
Genuinely,
but it was
great.
Actually genuinely good.
Yes.
I was shocked.
Yeah. All right. Till next time.
All right.
See you guys.
All right.